In the United States, there are over 700 Montessori schools, and more than 400 of these are public schools. Most public Montessori schools are charter schools, which means parents can choose to send their children to them. In most cases, parents choose Montessori schools for their small class sizes and personalized education. And it works. Students from Montessori schools consistently report higher standardized test scores and levels of self-confidence and positive social interaction than their traditionally schooled peers. In this presentation, we'll find out why. First, let's look at the history of Montessori schools. It all started with Dr. Maria Montessori, an Italian physician and educator. In 1907, Dr. Montessori started the first ever Montessori school, called Casa dei Bambini. The school was a preschool in Rome that served low-income families. Dr. Montessori's philosophy was different than that of traditional schooling. Education, she said, is not something which the teacher does, but a process that develops spontaneously in the human being. She based her school on the solid philosophy that children learn naturally in individual ways, that learning should be directed by students and not dictated by teachers, and that students should be provided with stimulating environments and diverse materials in order to guide and enhance that learning. She used this philosophy in order to develop a set of principles to be used as guides for learning. The Montessori curriculum was then split into 6 categories. The first is life skills. In the Montessori classroom, children are taught self-care and hygiene, care for the environment, social practices and behaviors, and skills that will help them to become well-rounded citizens. The second is sensorial activities and motor skills. Materials are provided for students to help them develop their 5 senses and to better understand visual and spatial reasoning. Mathematics, which is a core of every curriculum, is important in Montessori education, but it is taught differently than in traditional schools. In Montessori schools, mathematics is taught primarily with manipulatives, and numbers are not introduced until the child already has a firm understanding of what they mean. The focus is on experiences and understanding of processes rather than arbitrary algorithms. Language is also an important part of the Montessori curriculum. Students are taught reading, writing, and speaking skills by using physical manipulatives and representations of letters and sounds, such as symbols to represent parts of speech. Another part of the Montessori curriculum is cultural and peace education, in which students are introduced to new cultures, customs, and practices, and are encouraged to be open-minded and curious about different beliefs and traditions. Finally, Montessori classrooms include centers for art, music, and drama, in which students are free to explore in order to foster a sense of creativity and imagination. Rather than separating students by age, Montessori classrooms are divided into general groupings. The idea behind this is that classrooms will model real-world environments in which people must interact with others of all different ages and backgrounds. By having students of multiple ages in one classroom, younger students can learn by watching older students, and older students can solidify understanding of certain concepts by teaching them to younger students. Learning is not based on age, but on individual ability. To a large extent, students move at their own pace within guidelines set by teachers. So what does a Montessori classroom look like? A perfect example is depicted in this video. Notice all of the different activities that children are doing. Also note that while the teacher is involved by helping children in certain tasks, most of the students are engaged in individual or group work and are not being instructed. Look at the classroom itself. There is a huge variety of materials available, and everything is sized and structured to center around the students. So why does any of this matter for teachers? Well, the results of Montessori education are hard to ignore. Concrete evidence shows that the style of Montessori learning can be hugely beneficial to special needs children who are able to work at their own pace and receive individualized learning plans and materials in a Montessori classroom. Many traditional schools are actually in the process of integrating elements of Montessori into regular classrooms by increasing the number of manipulatives available, including classroom chores and life skills segments in curriculum, and allowing free time for students to choose their own activities. Schools that recognize the importance of multiple intelligences often include Montessori materials in their classrooms, as having hands-on materials available for children to use when learning to read or do mathematics can be extremely beneficial. Finally, with Montessori schools on the rise, it is important that we review the academic and social implications of these schools. Studies show that preschool students who attend Montessori schools are much more prepared for elementary school and kindergarten than their peers, and students who attend Montessori elementary and middle schools consistently achieve much higher test scores on the California Achievement and Iowa Standardized Tests. Rates of bullying are much lower in students who attend Montessori schools, and it has been shown that social interaction in Montessori students tends to be much more positive and less aggressive than that of other students. Montessori students also report higher levels of self-confidence than their peers and often develop a love of learning that stays with them for life. If you'd like more information, see the American Montessori Society website, where you can find everything you need to know about Montessori schools, teacher certification, and the Montessori movement in America.